So just to quickly give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. Initially, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of Oxford Computer Group, who we are, and then Adam Hall from Microsoft. We're very pleased and would like to say thank you as well for joining us today. He'll take the main bulk of today's session, which will be covering Azure AD Premium for hybrid identity. And then as we come towards the end of the session, we'll just talk about the next steps which are available, and then also a bit of time obviously to do a Q&A session with Adam at the end. What I would suggest as we're going through the session, if you have any questions, you should see that there's a questions box in the dialog box there. Put your questions in throughout the webinar, and as we get to the end, we'll ask as many of them as we can. But to make you all aware, we will capture these questions and endeavour to get answers for them and get them over to you post the webinar if we're unable to answer them live today. So to begin with, this slide really is there to really show you the approach that Oxford Computer Group takes with regards to mobility, and what we see really is that there's a three-pillar approach that we see, and identity really is the last control plane available to the IT world, and what we believe is you need to make sure that you have the right people accessing the right things, and also when there's not a well-managed identity, organisations, can find if they have people leaving their organisation and can leave themselves open to people still having access to business-sensitive systems, and equally when bringing new joiners into the business, that it will allow a well-managed identity platform will allow you to obviously get those workers up and running effectively and quickly. And what we see here is as the world is kind of moving to a much more organisations moving towards the cloud, and the workforce is becoming much more upwardly mobile. The IT world is ever changing, and what we see more and more really is that a well-managed hybrid identity platform is going to be the glue that pulls all of these pieces together with regards to device management and obviously information protection, and making sure that the business sensitive information that your workers have access to and possibly may not be in your office and out and about on their mobile devices, that you can secure all of that. People can access what they need to on the devices they need to and where they need to access that information, but in a safe way. And really, Oxford Computer Group, we're really the enterprise mobility experts, and the way that we do this, actually before I do that, I may need to just explain the picture of the mobility master on the left hand side here. So this is you'll get a QR code at the end of the session which will link you through to a video which we've created, which is really looking at the whole enterprise mobility challenges, business challenges, and how we can help you with that. And what we do is using Microsoft's enterprise mobility suite to do that for you. So that'll put that picture in a bit of context, and as I say, you'll get a QR code to go and watch that at the end of this webinar. But the way we do that is through our consultancy services, managed service as well, and really what we find that we are the recognised industry experts when it comes to the Microsoft identity solutions. And the way that we can kind of put that in context is we've trained thousands of people by authoring the initial identity training courses that we've done for Microsoft, delivered hundreds of enterprise deployments and provisioned millions of users into the cloud. And then for the last decade, we've either been the finalist or we've won Microsoft's Partner of the Year award around identity. And this slide is just to give you an idea, obviously, of our track record and the businesses that we work with, and just to show that we work with an array of different businesses in different industries and different sizes, and we're able to work with any of these businesses really, and such as we'd love to work with you as well. So just moving on, what I'd like to do is introduce Adam Hall from Microsoft, who's going to take, as I said, the main bulk of this session around Azure AD Premium for hybrid identity. So I'll just hand control over to you now, Adam, so you can take that.
Sure thing, and good afternoon. I think for most of you on the call, it's early morning for me over here in Redmond, but I think it's late afternoon for you guys. So just as we wait for Russ to hand across to me, I'm going to be going through largely in demo what we do with Azure Active Directory Premium, looking at the capabilities we're delivering and trying to give you a feel for the scenarios that you can actually deliver with Azure AD. So let me try and pick a monitor. There we go. Now just wait for the screen to update as it comes through. So I think you're all starting to see my screen there now. Okay, so Azure Active Directory Premium, this is a new offering that we brought into market back in April. A set of capabilities, identity and access management in the cloud, leveraging the investments our customers have made on premises with things like Active Directory, ADFS, Identity Manager, and so on. And so Azure AD is really our cloud-based solutions where you can operate only in the cloud, or you can operate more in a hybrid model as well. And we'll go through some of those things. So as we think about Azure Active Directory Premium and we think about what are these services designed to deliver, the underlying challenge we've got here is keeping users productive but also protecting company information. And that's ultimately what this all boils down to. How do we let users work on the device of their choice, and manage all the applications that they've got, whether they're on premises or SaaS applications, and stay in control of what they have access to, from where and when, and then when things go wrong, like people leave or leaks happen, how do you react to that? How do you make sure that you're still in a good state and making sure that you're still in control of all that information? Now, just thinking about the changes that we have in the environment from a global point of view, mobility really is the new normal. And here's some statistics from some reports that we've taken these from. 66% of employees using personal devices for work, and really I'm surprised that's so low. The base level scenario here is email on phones. Think about how many employees have some sort of device that they connect up and synchronize their work email onto. It's a large portion of the population, and that's really the entry level into BYOD kind of scenarios that people are suddenly starting to realize the amount of information that's in that email, and what happens if you lose that device? What happens if that user gets fired or just leaves the environment? How do you get it back? How do you block access to it? Those kinds of things. 33% of people typically working at work, but then working away from their desk. So not the mobile warrior, but just the I get up and go work from somewhere else. So there's an increasing population there, just starting to work on the go. And then an interesting statistic coming through, around 18% of all software spending being on SaaS applications by 2017. And we're very much seeing this kind of trend of adoption of cloud services, whether it's Office 365, Intune, whether it's Dynamics CRM, Salesforce.com, Dropbox, whatever it might be. And the challenge there is that you no longer own that platform, and you no longer have control of that, where that data actually is. And so therefore, again, from an IT perspective, getting that back under control, knowing even what SaaS applications are in use in your environment is a big challenge for a lot of customers. And so therefore, we're building tools to allow you to audit which SaaS applications are actually in use, for example. A few stats just on data protection realities around things like 87% of senior managers admitting to putting their work on personal email or a cloud account. Emailing documents to their home email so that they can work on them, putting them on OneDrive or Dropbox or something along those lines. So this is sensitive information that could be quite damaging for a customer if it becomes known. It could be a business plan, it could be an acquisition, and it could be sales data, customer data, whatever it might be, things that you really don't want out in the public forum. 58% of people have accidentally sent information to the wrong person. The oops, didn't mean to send it to that Adam, I meant the other Adam. Being able to go, hey, how do I block access to what I just sent you, and say, sorry, that wasn't actually for your eyes. And then who knows, how many people are actually focusing on the data leak prevention on personal devices. It's one of those, hey, let's focus on all the BYOD things, but forgetting about, oh, we also need to protect those domain join machines, and we also need to protect the data that's at rest on machines we do know about. And so this is really just a warning to think about not only what's going on these BYOD devices, but what's also going on machines that you actually do. Don't forget about those ones. So what's driving all this change? Users are demanding to work on different devices. We have college graduates coming into to Microsoft just like a lot of other customers, and the new generation of people coming through are growing up on different devices, Androids and iOS devices and non-domain joined Windows machines, and they're expecting to be able to work on them. They're expecting to bring their own device in or to be provided with a device that is lightly managed at best. From an application point of view, there's decisions to be made around whether you develop an application for all those platforms, whether you use desktop virtualization in some way to deliver it, whether you go full browser-based cloud service, whatever the decisions to be made there are. And then from data point of view, data is leaking now. There's a greater reliance on sharing information with a lot of people, and you need to be able to control that. That leaves IT in this really hard position of wanting to be able to say yes, wanting to be able to operate in a fast-moving business environment, but still being tasked with keeping control of everything. And we've seen instances around the world where this isn't just a theoretical kind of problem. CIOs and COOs are going to jail because they could not or did not do the appropriate thing with information, and there was an impact. So this is a very real situation that people have to work through. So from a Microsoft point of view, we bring that all together with a people-centric approach, so making it user-centric from a user point of view as well as IT, bringing you a unified environment so you can manage it all and see it all, enabling your users, and then protecting your data. Just a basic setup. We bring all that together and try and bring a little bit of sanity to the insanity. So let's talk a little bit about Azure Active Directory in particular. A couple of slides on this, and then we're going to go into demo for the remainder of the session. What is it? It is a comprehensive identity and access management cloud solution. We are building out a lot of services. There's a lot there now. There is a lot more coming as well. And really, we want to make it easy for you to manage users, devices, passwords, and so on, and groups in the cloud against SaaS apps, against on-premises, as well as a rich set of capabilities so that you can do things like publishing applications from the cloud, doing conditional access in the cloud, being able to leverage the power of the Azure platform to gate access to not only cloud applications and information, but also on-premises as well. These are the advanced offerings. I'm going to cover at the end the differences between the basic and the free and the premium offerings and so on. But really, we are delivering across cloud, on-prem, and hybrid as well. So no matter which way you need to go as a customer, we want to make sure that we're delivering these capabilities in a way that you can adopt them. When you bring it all together, Azure Active Directory really has a few components to it. In the center is Azure AD itself. From the left-hand side, we are synchronizing between Windows Server Active Directory as well as other Active Directories, like LDAP and web services and PowerShell and things like that. We're investing a lot in Azure AD Connect, which is out there now. And what that's doing is making it super easy to deploy the synchronization and federation capabilities in the way that best makes sense for you. And so we want to make the onboarding process as easy as possible. Once you get to Azure AD, you're able to authenticate users and devices against all the different applications on-prem and in the cloud. As well, and so then it's not just the Microsoft apps, there's also a lot of other apps that are leveraging Azure Active Directory as their authentication source. So you can build an app and use Azure AD as your identity repository. You can use Azure AD to do B2B incoming as well, so that you can securely share and authenticate people in the cloud. And ultimately, I look at this as you trust Azure as your new corporate boundary. That means you can run your infrastructure there, your apps there, your identity there. We'll do all the hard work in terms of running these massive data centers and securing them, allowing you to set rules and regulations and so on, and then pass those users and devices off to the right places. And when we get to that state, then it becomes very easy for a business to know what's going on, get insight into what's happening, and being able to very rapidly move between new capabilities. Excuse me. So from a couple of things around Azure Active Directory Premium specifically, there is a whole list of features and capabilities, but a couple of the key ones that come through for this audience is you get a 99.9 SLA. So we put a lot of effort into making sure things are up and running and always available. You do get use rights to Identity Manager on premises as part of Azure AD Premium as well, and we'll go through some of the new capabilities that are coming soon. So you can get a view into that. SaaS applications is a big one, and we're going to show you what that looks like and how we do that and how you can gain access and so on. It says 1,200 on the screen. We're up over 2,000 now, so it's growing at a very rapid rate. We have federated apps where you can genuinely use your Active Directory credentials to authenticate against SaaS applications. And we also do password vaulting as well for those applications that don't allow that. So at a minimum, you can gain access to those applications through Azure AD, and then when the user leaves, then you're able to block that access as well. It's all integrated back on premises, and then when you bring in the custom line of business apps and the integrated custom apps as well, you're really starting to get a complete set of capabilities around identity, around access management, and applications themselves as well. And so we're trying to provide this complete solution. So with that, I am going to switch over and bring up some demo. And we'll spend the rest of this session really showing some stuff. So I'll just wait for my screen to update. So I'm going to start with the user view. And really, the user experience is kind of difficult to actually demo because it's not that exciting for me to show you how to log into stuff. The reality is the user gets one username, one password, and they can use that to go log on to everything. So what you're seeing here is the My Apps portal, which is here are all of the applications from on-premises and in the cloud that as a user I come to, I log in. There is an app on iOS. This is just in a browser on Windows. And basically what you're seeing here are all the applications that I've been granted access to. I can click on them, I'll get single sign-on, the application will launch and so on. And you'll notice that there's a couple of different types of app here. We have standard enterprise-y kind of apps like Salesforce and so on, but you'll also notice that there's things like Twitter and Facebook, which are social apps. And you know, the scenario here is if you're doing things like social media, then if someone leaves the organization or gets fired or something, then you leave yourself open to malicious intent and someone going and posting things that you probably don't want them to post. Here, the user would never know the handle and the password or the Facebook page and the password. The only way they could get to Facebook and Twitter is to come here and click on it. You've pre-populated what the username and the password actually is. The user never knows. And so as soon as they leave and they lose access to their AD account, they can no longer get to those apps as well. You get single sign-on to all SaaS applications, and you'll notice that there's 4 blue boxes here, a sort of common icon on there. These are on-premises applications, and so we've published out an on-premises SharePoint app, an on-premises user portal. There's a sample claims app that we run that allows you to see which claims are actually being passed forward and so on, and then the multi-factor authentication portal so our users can set up MFA. And so this is actually going through the cloud application proxy, which is a lightweight agent that runs in the environment. And when I click that link, it talks down to that agent and authenticates me through that. So publishing an on-premises app out to the cloud and my users is as simple as installing an incredibly lightweight agent that proxies all of that out to Azure AD. You get all the benefits of Azure AD and all the benefits of publishing with almost zero infrastructure requirements. Now across the top, those applications, we also have groups. So self-service is a big factor of Azure AD Premium. Self-service group management, self-service password reset, approval mechanisms, and so on. And as we wait for my page to carry on, a bit of internet lag going on just right now. Here it comes. Groups, you can create your own groups, and you can also gate access to groups as well. And my page is updated. Yours is updating now. So here you see a bunch of groups. Some of them are from on-premises Active Directory that are synchronized up. Some of these are cloud only. I can create a group, and when I create a group, you'll notice that I have the ability to either make it available for anyone just to join, or I can gate approval. So you've got group management and approvals there. And these groups can be used to gate access to things or for distribution lists or whatever. And there's one here, single sign-on to Contoso line of business apps. And when a user joins this group, they get all those applications that were on the left-hand side. And so if you've got SaaS applications that have a cost associated with them, for example, then you're able to gate access to those on the way through. The approvals, if I move across to the approvals page, here you'll see people who have requested access as the page is just updating to your view. I can see it's coming through now. The approvals that people, so I can come in here and see that that Mark wants to join my direct reports. I can simply check that box and then approve or decline. I can say, yep, that's okay, and Mark will be added to that group, and now he can have access in real time to whatever it is that I was providing. And then on the profile page, you have the ability to see what your details are. Very shortly we'll be able to edit these in here as well, register for password reset, and change your password and so on. So these are all cloud-based capabilities, and we can write back these changes back down to Active Directory as well. So that's just a quick look at some of the end user experiences. Now I want to bring across the IT side, which is a little more interesting. So as we bring this up, I can see it refreshing on your page. Great. So this is the Azure Active Directory Premium, or Azure Active Directory, but Premium in particular in this case, management portal. I can see in my domain here, I can see all the user accounts that have synchronized, either, as you can see on the right-hand side, from the local Active Directory. There are also cloud-based users in here as well. All those groups that we just saw, so here are groups, as you can see, some of them are coming up from the local Active Directory, some of them are cloud-based, so you can do all your group management and create them here. Those applications that we saw, now here's the list of all the apps at the back end that have been made available to users, and so I can add an application, and I can add an application either that we've developed. So this is when you're developing an app and you want to make it available to your users, so an internal line of business app. I can add from the gallery, which is where we're going to get that list of all those applications. I'll show you that in a minute. And then publishing an internal application, which was that multi-factor authentication SharePoint app that we saw at the user end. You simply publish the app here. So when I click on the gallery, let's see what the number is today. 2,417 applications are in this gallery. And you can simply come through this list, search for the one that you want, click on it, and if I find one that I haven't added, here we go, and we can sign up, we can add it, and so on. And it's as simple as going to the gallery, selecting it and adding it, and then once you've done that, if I go back a little bit, then within each application you can define who can have access to it. So here's the Adobe EchoSign app. I can configure single sign-on, and I can assign which users come in. And so you can delegate this down by assigning access to a group and then having a business owner be in control of who's in that group through all that self-service group management capabilities. I can see all of the domains that I have from an IT point of view. So we have contosodemo.com in here, which is a publicly registered domain that we run. And so all of it's an Active Directory that we have. The directory integration, you can see that we've verified it, we've activated, we're using Azure AD Sync to synchronize all those on-premises accounts up, and we've gone through that process, which is nice and easy. And then from a configuration point of view, for all of the capabilities within Azure AD Premium, you can come through and turn these on. So there's customized branding that we can do. We can say whether users are able to register for password reset. and which methods they can use to do that reset. You can see here that whether we require users to register when signing into that access panel, which is what we just showed you, customizing email links and so on, the language. There's email notifications of whether you want administrators to be sent emails when people do strange things, and we'll talk about that more in a couple of minutes. Enabling device registration, which is in preview, so this is workplace join against Azure AD in the cloud. So being able to do conditional access based on device authentication to applications in the cloud. Multi-factor authentication, which I'm sure we've covered quite a lot. And then things like the group management and that application proxy, turning it on, being able to publish applications, being able to do delegated group management, creating groups, and so on. All of these options are here, and the list goes on. And as we add more features, you get more configuration. Turning these on, instead of like on-premises where you had a big, heavy infrastructural deployment capability, here you simply come along, you toggle one of these, and then you enable it, and you're good to go, and you can configure it, which is kind of the power of the cloud on the way through. Now, the last thing I want to show you before we wrap up is the security reports that we run. And we run a big database in the cloud. It brings together all of the authentications from Azure AD, which is currently sitting between 2.5 billion per day. We get all of that telemetry data about the malware and all the other things going on in the world, and we run machine learning over that. And that allows us to build these pretty fantastic security reports as part of Azure Active Directory Premium. So, for example, I'm going to take a look here, and it's one that we've shown before, at the Impossible Travel Report, which is basically taking a look at sign-ins. And so we've got an example here of Andreas, who has managed to log in London and over in Zurich as well within 5 minutes. Now, as I'm sure that's you guys part of the world, I'm sure you're aware there's just no way you can get between those two locations in 5 minutes. So something funny is going on. Either someone's stolen his identity or he's doing some sort of weird VPN or whatever. But the reality is, in either case, something happened that you want to do something about. And so down the bottom, you have a number of options. We can reset his password, we can enforce a multi-factor authentication, or we can just say we don't care. But that you became aware of this action and you're able to do something about it. The anomalous sign-in activity, this is where we get a summary of odd things that are going on. So it could be there's the geodistant location, so the impossible travel. There's also people doing other things where they've signed in from an IP address with suspicious activity. So maybe it's a known malware pot, maybe it's behind an anonymizer or something. All things that you look at and go, that's not what we would expect from our users, let's do something about that. And then the last example that I'll show you was the application usage report, which allows you to see which users are using which applications. And so you can start to get a feel for what's going on inside your environment and who's using which applications. So that's not everything in Azure Active Directory, but it is certainly a large portion of it. So that I'm going to wrap up the demo there and come back to Ross. In the slides that are going to be made available, just quickly, there are some tables which go through all of the different features and which SKUs that they are part of and so on. I won't spend too much time here. I'm just letting you know that they're going to be included, including things like multi-factor authentication. And one of the frequently asked questions we get is, what do we get in Office 365 versus what do we get in the full service? And so there's a full breakdown there that you can go through. So with that, I'm going to hand back to Ross, and I am going to try and pick the right one. There's two that look exactly the same, Ross, so if I pick the wrong one, tell me.
That's okay, I can pull it over to me anyway. I'll request it. Okay. So I think I have control now. So as I said at the top of the webinar, this is just the QR code here, which will take you through to the video where we look at the kind of business challenges around enterprise mobility and how we, with the Enterprise Mobility Suite, can solve those for you. What I'd like to do is just take this time to say thank you to Adam, obviously, for doing that presentation for us. It's been really well attended. We've had a lot of questions come through, so we will get to those. But the other thing I just want to make people aware of is that we are holding two events coming up. One, which is actually just a few weeks away in Reading, which is going to be a heavy focus on enterprise mobility and also hybrid identity. We will send out some information to those relevant parties after the webinar who may be interested to attend that. But if you don't receive that information, then please do get in touch and we will happily have you along to those meetings. So I think we'll go to the questions. Now, I've been collating some of the questions as the session's been going through. As you can imagine, there's quite a lot, so I don't think we'll get through all of the questions today. So I'll ask a few to Adam, because I understand that we're running a little bit over. So one of the questions we've had is, Adam, is there any chance to change this licensing in the future to make it available for SMB market?
I think I'd need to understand what the challenge is there. And from a licensing point of view, the entire enterprise mobility suite is only $4 a user per month. So I'd need to understand what the challenge actually is there. I think from an SMB market point of view, that's actually an incredible price to get Intune, Azure AD Premium, and Azure RMS. So I need to understand why that is a bad thing. To be able to help that a bit more.
Okay, well, maybe what we can do with that question is go back directly to that person with that and take that question up. So one of the other questions we've got is if you synchronize AD to O365, is this already configured and synchronized for Azure AD?
So the answer is yes. Office 365 runs on top of Azure AD, and so you're not actually synchronizing to Office 365. You are synchronizing to Azure AD, and Office 365 talks to Azure AD. So the answer is yes.
Great. We'll do two more questions, I think, if there's time for you, Adam. So,
yeah, I'm fine.
Great. So the next one is the user portal available now? They say that they see the tag of preview in the top left-hand side of the screen, I guess, when you were...
Yeah, so yes, that's myapps.microsoft.com. It is available now. My tenants, being a Microsoft internal person on the engineering side of Azure AD, I have access to a few extra things, and I'm running some dog food, but you won't see that. The answer is yes.
Okay, so the last question is just, does the sync aggregate the credentials from Windows AD and other directories? So is it two-way?
Yes, it does. We do write back. So if the idea is that we keep the password and sync across all of the directories. So yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. Actually, just one more quick question, which is probably quite an important one. So the stats right at the front of your presentation, which we see quite a lot. It was somebody just asking about the source of those stats.
Yeah, we do have source of those. They're coming from people like Gartner and Forrester, people from reports being run and surveys being done. So we do have full source for all of those.
Brilliant. Well, what we'll do, as I said, there are many more questions, but what we'll do is answer those after the webinar session, and we'll share those with everybody so everybody can get those answers. But I'd like to, again, just thank Adam and obviously everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions or if there's anything else after the webinar that you feel, then you can get in touch. My email address is ross.mciver@oxfordcomputergroup.com. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your time.